Hi, it's me, Ingo the INFP, and welcome to INFP Poetry Corner with Crochet. I'm making a granny square. I'm trying to make a granny square that looks as good as my first one, but this one looks good. This one is kind of messed up, but um, I'm committed now. I want to thank my ENFJ friend for making this manicure. She has all sorts of hidden talents, and one of them is that she has basically gone manicure training and has like a whole toolbox filled with stuff just for nails. I don't like the commitment of having these like semi-permanent nails, but I have to commit to the bits because I have this lamp, and she also gave me this goodie-filled skull. So I guess I'll have to keep them all week. In my job, I'm not allowed to have painted nails, but I happen to have a week off because I took a holiday. So I'm allowed to have painted nails. For hygiene reasons, I can't have them at work, so because they can hide, like, if you have stuff underneath your nails. Anyway, I am doing this crochet, and we had a great time with my ENFJ friend. We watched Coco, the Disney film, for Dia de los Muertos. My friend is from Venezuela, so she really related to that film and got a little bit emotional about it. And we also watched Dune and did not understand a thing because you basically have to have read the book to understand that film, if I understand it correctly. But let's see, where was I? We were going to talk about a poem, and the poem is by Arthur Rimbaud, and Arthur Rimbaud is a French poet who's kind of like together with romantics, but he wasn't really into doing the romantic poetry kind of thing. He was more into like the rhythm and doing symbolic. I think that he was like the founder of the symbolism movement in poetry, in French poetry. I don't really know much about him as a person, but I looked at his biography, and he's like a crazy guy, basically. I think that he had a tough life, and he kind of ran away from home, and I don't know. He did a lot of stuff in his life, but he was also pretty wild, and he was in a relationship with Verlaine. So, I mean, this was like at the very start of like people being prosecuted for homosexuality. So I don't really know, but because they were poets, I guess that they could do whatever they want, you know. But I think that it was around the time where Oscar Wilde was, I think Oscar Wilde was prosecuted like a little bit later, like 20 years later, for being gay, which I think that before then it was kind of more, not really talked about, but at least not like you weren't a criminal in the eyes of the law in the same way as you were after this. But anyway, they had a very intense relationship for like 2 years or something, and basically it ended. I mean, one of them got married to a woman, and the other one became really religious, or I forget what the story was. But they, I mean, also I think that Rimbaud was much younger than Verlaine, because I think that Rimbaud was Verlaine's student, and so I don't know really what happened, but it didn't seem like it was a healthy relationship to start with. Um, but they were poets, so that's what they did. And this poem is about synesthesia, because I think Rimbaud had synesthesia. And, well, I do appreciate that, because I have synesthesia. And I think that, so he kind of popularized synesthesia as like, kind of a thing of the mystic. I think that really excited people at the time to talk about mysticism and all that. Because, well, it was like the end of the 19th century. Lots of, I mean, we just had the Romantic period, right? But there's a thing that you need to know about synesthesia, the synesthesia community, is that they're not, they can't agree on anything, basically. Because synesthesia is where you couple two senses together. And the most common example is like, well, it's not the most common kind of synesthesia, but the most common example is where somebody sees colors when they listen to music. I don't have that, and I'm not sure if Rimbaud had that either. But he and I have the most common sort of synesthesia, which is seeing letters, numbers, days of the week as different colors. And unfortunately, I must say that Rimbaud and I disagree on every single letter. So it's kind of difficult for me to read the poem, because it kind of is jarring. It's kind of like, something is not quite right. It's as if somebody put like, I don't know, ketchup on my toothbrush or something. I don't know. It would be weird. It just feels wrong. But anyway, so let's get into it. Voyelles. A noir, E blanc, I rouge, E vert, O bleu. Voyelles. Je dirai quelque jour vos naissances latentes. A. Noir corset velu de mouches éclatantes qui bobinent autour de puanteurs cruels, golfe d'ombre. E. Candeurs des vapeurs des tentes, lance des glaciers fiers, roi blanc, frisson d'ombelle. I. Pourpre, sang craché, rire des lèvres belles dans la colère ou les ivresses pénitentes. U. Cycle, vibrement divin, des vers virides, P des pâtis semés d'animaux, P des rides que l'alchimie imprime au grand front studieux. O. Suprême clairon, plein de strideurs étranges, silence traversé des mondes et des anges. Ô l'oméga, rayon violet de ses yeux. And in English, vowels. A black, E white, I red, E green, O blue. Oh, U green, sorry. O blue. Vowels. I shall tell one day of your mysterious origins. A. Black velvety jacket of brilliant flies, which buzz around cruel smells. Gulf of shadow. E. Whiteness of vapors and of tents. Lances of proud glaciers, white kings, shivers of cow parsley. I. Purples, spat blood, smile of beautiful lips in anger or in the raptures of penitence. U. Waves, divine shudderings of Aurelian seas. The peace of pastures dotted with animals, the peace of the furrows which alchemy prints on broad studious foreheads. Oh, sublime trumpet full of strange piercing sounds, silences crossed by worlds and by angels. Oh, the Omega, the violent ray of sighs. Okay, and that was written 1871 by Arthur Rimbaud. And all of his letters are the wrong color, first of all, but I do appreciate that he was one of the, I think he was the first poet to talk about synesthesia. But I'm guessing that he thought that it was one of his powers as a poet, you know. They were part of the cursed poets, like they thought that they were so misunderstood. And they were. But they often had some self-aggrandizing like ideas that like they were granted magical powers. But for me, the letters are all the wrong color. So let me tell you guys, I found out now while I was doing this that my vowels are on a scale from red to yellow. And my consonants are usually like on a scale from blue to green. And I don't know why it is like that. I think that a lot of people learn like A is for apple. And so then you just figure that A's are red. But you know, like why would it be like that? You know? Why would I say that it's red? Statistically, they've seen that actually like they've asked many synesthetes what color their A is, and most of them had something that was close to red. But the further down the alphabet you went, the less the things made sense. So A is kind of common, that a lot of people, even who are not synesthetes, will see it as red. But he did not see it as red. He saw it as black. I don't know why. I mean, it's the first letter of the alphabet. But these things don't really have any logic. E for me is not white, it is orange. I for me is not red, it is yellow. U for me is not green, it is orange. And O for me is not blue, it is red. So, it kind of hurts my eyes to see this poem, basically. Like, I don't like it. But I don't think that you're supposed to like it, because he talks about like pretty violent imagery. Like he talks about buzzing flies as like the kind of black that A is. I think that he doesn't really like A, the letter A. And like me, there are certain letters I don't like. I don't like as much certain letters than others. And he seems to dislike the letter A, and he seems to also dislike the letter I, because the letter I is red like blood. And he seems to really like U and O, especially O. He seems to like think that it's the mystical letter or something. So yeah, he was really like kind of ahead of his time, or not ahead, but he was a little bit. He started his own movement pretty much of like poetry, not romantic poetry, which was the poetry that was like at the time the thing. He actually like started talking more about the rhythms and like sensations rather than like emotions, and using metaphors that everybody could understand. He talks about really abstract stuff with like layers of metaphor in this. So I really enjoy this because it's kind of outside of the realm of the kinds of poems that I usually like. But because he has synesthesia, like I do kind of like see myself in him. I'm like, oh, that's interesting that you could describe this kind of phenomenon, like before this phenomenon, like if before people knew that this could be a part of your neurology, you know. It wasn't at the time, I guess, that he just thought that like he was a mystical poet who could see these things that the common eye can't see, you know. And that he was trying to describe this for the general public. I think that is pretty interesting. I also find it really funny that he was together with with Verlaine. Like, yeah, Verlaine apparently became really religious, and then like Rimbaud couldn't stand to be with around him, and then I forget who it was who got married, but you know, like you can't keep having an affair with like your poet's best friend. Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good, but I like how like basically that this whole community of poets, they all were just like friends with each other and well, having relationships with each other. Their circle was pretty small. But yeah, so this was a pretty long one because I didn't really know what to say. And honestly, check out the biographies of all of these people that I talk about because they have pretty wild lives sometimes. And I think that Rimbaud is no exception to that. He had a pretty intensive life. Like he was... Verlaine had a pretty, like, you know, he was a little bit calmer than Rimbaud. Rimbaud was a pretty wild guy. So check it out. Tell me if you guys have synesthesia. I'd be really interested to hear about that. Because it is kind of an interesting topic that I don't often see in, well, on the internet. So tell me what you guys think. I'm almost finished with this granny square. It actually is turning out pretty okay. So have a great day, everybody. Bye.